What's up guys, Hades here. We are in for a treat this week. There was two fantastic matches. The AoW versus SSQ was an in-server match, but they decided to go all out. It was really competitive, and then the Vex Cubs match was really competitive as well. I'm going to start off reviewing this Art of War SSQ match, and in my next video I will review Cubs versus Vex. Now, this AoW match was quite insane. I really want to talk about the macro of the play and really break down why people have been rotating the way they have, so that a lot of the players who haven't been able to make it into this final kind of 16 can understand why players are doing this at the top level. So let's jump into it. Okay, so we have SSQ here in the bottom left corner in the red, and we have AoW here in the white. Now, when we're talking about macro, you can see that the top level teams understand that the white spawn can get to Tower 4 faster, which means people in the red spawn usually just end up ditching it. And that's why when you review these higher level games, these, you see these kind of scenarios where there's people just surrounding it, there's nothing you can do. And the reason is it's almost 3 seconds faster. I've revealed this in a past video if you have been watching me for a while. But yeah, if you are red side, you don't want to be going for these spots because it doesn't work. So the only way to fight for Tower 4 is to kind of make a awkward shape here, and then you have to fight for it with numbers or with skill. It's still possible to take, but not something I recommend. This just instantly gives the white side a big advantage. Now, when we go over to the other side, I'm not a fan of sending 4 to this tower. If we go back, you can see there's only 4 players. This is not enough. 4 versus 8 or 4 versus 10. A lot of players, because you have 30 and you need to divide it into 3 places, most towers have between 8 and 12, right? Depending on where you want to allocate. Because you do usually need to put someone home. It's a little risky to have no one, but I would say 1 or 2 minimum at your home towers. Now, 4 is just not enough, and you're gonna see here, I'm gonna skip through this just a little bit. They're just gonna get wiped out within a few minutes, and they also pretty much instantly took this tower. So these 4 players might as well have not been there. The only benefit they have from staying here is the fact that they kind of keep these players here. So the difference is, on this top tower 1, there's 8 players of SSQ who aren't getting to play the game, versus the 6 players of AoW who don't get to play. But because AoW put 4 here, it's just numbers wise, they end up having 10 people kind of doing nothing, because 6 plus 4 is 10, and SSQ only has 8, but they're actually doing something because they're fighting for it. But also they have to win this or the match is no longer balanced, because AoW is getting a free tower along with their home tower, which is free. Now, the majority of this fight ends up being in the middle, and this is where I want to focus a good portion of this video, is to teach kind of what happens in a breakdown in the middle. And you'll notice a lot of top level games end up having a fight at a tower. The winner usually gets to keep it and then rotate to middle, and then it's a big fight for middle because middle is worth more points. We all know this, but it's not significantly more. You don't have to own middle to win. It just is in the center, so it's closest to everything. Now, breaking down a little bit more on the micro side, now that we've talked about all the macro, you can see here, I've talked about this a lot, there's battle lines. And the team that essentially breaks the enemy first is going to win. And there's almost 2 sides, especially on the middle. This is so big. If I focus the screen here, you can see everyone in this screen is kind of fighting each other, right? The arrows are going back and forth on each other. And then everyone on this screen is kind of fighting each other. All the arrows are going back and forth on each other. Until, of course, the middle opens and then teams are searching to try and get a quick steal. Now we can see SSQ gets really close, and they got it broken at 1 second. And this is what I was talking about, a close match. This was actually very high level on a lot of fronts. SSQ had really good coordination on that tier 1 tower. They had a lot of coordination here in the middle. But the problem with going so fast for the tower, and you can see right here, is while they're going for the tower, they're just losing HP, and they're losing it fast. You can see low, 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 and then as the tower gets starting to be taken here, the bubble has to be popped, which is a very good timing, using bubble to go for an all-in. But if you send all your marches in right here, boom, 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 dead, right? He got focused while he went for tower. Going for tower gets focused, going for tower gets rallied, and then now this position kind of collapses, right? Once you overgrow onto their side, Gab's on the side, this player's on the side, it's really hard to move anyone right in front because they should, in theory, be broken by these players, just like this. Now there's no pressure. They're being forced back, they're getting beaten back, and they can't play the game the way they want to, even though they have some numbers advantage for a while. Now you can also see here, a lot of times you can tell which team is winning based on spawn deaths, right? There's only one AoW member stuck in base, and there are 6 SSQ members, and this is a big part of the game. There's a phase in the game when a lot of people have been taking damage and they start to get teleported, and then they have to find a way back into the fight, right? And so you have to find your way back into the action to develop a lead, or develop, part of the map into your favor. Now that AoW has successfully pushed them back, they're able to get the tower back, and SSQ is going to keep fighting for this. Now, here's the big mistake I think a lot of teams start to make at this point. Once you've lost the tower this badly, you actually shouldn't be here anymore, right? It's really hard to rotate away, but you shouldn't keep forcing an issue that isn't going to work. The better play is to actually look for something like this, right? There's only 4 people defending here, and there's only 4 people defending here. They're both very vulnerable. 40 minutes into the game, lots of teleports should be available, and anyone in the middle should be able to relocate out. And I'm going to skip forward just a little bit into some action right here. We can see a very nice TPs, at least coordinated TPs, and AoW is going to have to counter this, or this is going to look real bad real fast. We get 1, 2 counters, and then another TP for a counter, another TP, and this is going to be a pretty balanced trade. We'll see who actually pulls it out. This is another piece for the macro side, is teleport timing, teleport advantage and disadvantage. Both teams should have a handful of attackers, or plentiful attackers, for both the offensive and the defensive side. So in this scenario, SSQ really played well in terms of number of teleports, and this would be a macro decision. They decided to carry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 teleports, which in turn just earned them a tower, right? They had a timer, they picked a play, and they went for a tower. And I like the way they went for tower before killing everyone, because they had so many numbers, right? When it's 9-3 or maybe 8-3, it's pretty much impossible to break this as long as everyone's putting their marches in. And so yeah, they made a very good timing on this. And now this is theirs. They went from not having to owning it. But the problem is, when you commit somewhere, usually the best play is to commit somewhere else. And we can see here, AoW actually counterattacked the same time they did, which just shows kind of this high level of play, right? They had in their mind, we were going to attack, and then the other team, so they were going to attack at the exact same time. And then we end up getting this trade situation. So now SSQ owns this corner, and now AoW owns this corner. Now, the problem with going for the enemy home, and what I would have rather seen them go for this Tower 1, is any SSQ member that dies or has been dead is literally 35 seconds away. They can be here and unstopped in 35 seconds. That's how fast it is to come from the base. So even if you hold this and you kill someone, they're back in 1 minute and they're walk in 30 seconds. So they're back in a minute and 30 seconds, which means this kind of a play is only sustainable at this time of the match for maybe 5 to 12 minutes. It really depends on the situation. But because they're taking this home, and see, you can see SSQ takes it back already. Now AoW has to hold middle, their home, and get this bottom. And I'm gonna go back just to show what happens here because I don't understand what happened. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 SSQ players. And now there's 6, and now there's 5. They won it and then left. Now there's 4. Now there's 3. And this is just a really bad mistake. They're all coming back here to defend. But in turn, they're just leaving this exposed. Then they get a counter TP in. And then another counter TP in. And then a few relocations. And now it's a 2 versus 1. And they just take the tower back. I actually think SSQ had this game won right here. I think this teleport play won them the game. If they were a little more patient taking this back, they would have just won the game because they had 4 players in base that could have taken it within a few minutes. But giving up their tower that they just used 8 teleports for almost instantly is really bad. And AoW is holding enough at the middle that's not going to make it easy, and they're holding enough at home that's going to make it not easy. And at this point of the game, they're up in points, and they own 3 towers, so all they are doing is defending. And as we skip along here, they just defend it the rest of the game. SSQ does make a bit of a play here, but it's just not enough, and then the game is over. Yeah, they never get it. So looking at some of the highlights, top performers, usually plays a pretty important role. 2 million is a very successful match. 2 million is very high actually. 1.5 and higher is like very dominant, and 2 million is crazy. Yeah, you can see here the numbers are kind of tell the story. There's a much bigger gap on the top side. Let's look at 7 through 10. 1 million. Well, it's pretty balanced. Not that bad actually. It's just a top few that played better, and then just slightly better macro in general, which led AoW to make it to the finals. And so if you guys like these kind of videos, let me know in the comments below, and make sure you check out the other semifinal video. See you later.